Why is it that we Dragon Ball fans hate Yamcha? How did one character gain such a reputation for people dunking on him? A majority of it comes from that one goofy-ass pose he did while dying. But that can't be all there is to it, can it? This is the same series where another character got pants during one of the most important battles of his life, and he has an entire meme focused around how cool he is. So let's go through Yamcha's history and try to pin down what caused Yamcha stocks to tank so hard. Let's begin with Yamcha's debut in Dragon Ball Chapter 7. Here, he's introduced to us as this cool desert bandit dude who robs anyone he wants without fear of consequences. He's the first fighter to have a signature move, and it's wolf-themed to show how he's the rival of our monkey-themed main character. For those who don't know, wolves and monkeys are said to be mortal enemies in Japanese mythology. This will highlight his role as giving Goku the first fight he had to put his back into. Contrary to popular belief, Yamcha did not win this fight, as Goku was dusting himself off and preparing for round 2 when Yamcha ran, meaning the result is simply no result. But even being a worthy opponent for Goku is quite the accomplishment. Is this the guy that everyone hates? Surely it can't be it, there's gotta be some type of misunderstanding. Then it happens. Having a character be awkward around women has always been a quick way of establishing that they're a nerd. This isn't the audience misinterpreting Yamcha's character. This is Toriyama directly telling us how to interpret Yamcha's character and the audience listening. Plus, cowardly characters just seem to be divisive amongst fanbases in general. So if you're not a fan of this archetype, you probably won't like Yamcha. Personally, these types of characters are some of my favorites. But that's just me. Let me know how you guys feel about it in the comments. But even if Yamcha is cowardly around women, he's still a brave fighter, right? Well, it's complicated. Like it or not, this is a combat manga, so how a character performs in combat will greatly affect their reputation with fans. So let's go through Yamcha's resume and see how his record stacks up. Yamcha had 2 fights with Goku in the beginning of the series, both of which he ran from before they could be finished. A fight with Chi-Chi where he soundedly knocks her unconscious. He takes down Monster Carrot's henchmen so Goku can focus on the boss. He holds down the Uzaru until Poir chops its tail off. This one's a bit of a gray area, because while he defeated the Uzaru, Kid Goku passed out immediately afterwards before the fight could be concluded. But since the Uzaru was acting of its own will, and its goal of going on a rampage was thwarted, I'm willing to give the win to Yamcha here. He had to have defeated at least one person to advance to the finals of the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai. Probably more, but we're never told one way or another, so I'm just gonna chalk it up to one win. He fought and lost to Jackie Chun in the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai. He fought in Fortune Teller Baba's tournament, where he defeated the Invisible Man but lost to the Mummy. He defeats this random fodder in the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai prelims. He loses to Ten Shinhan in the Crack Heard Round the World. He defeats this random wolf dude and some cue ball in the prelims of the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai. He loses to Kami. I'm going to be very gracious here and say the Cybermen fight was a draw, cause it's not like the Cybermen walked away afterwards. He got his chest turned into a donut by Android 20, he got his arm turned into spaghetti by Cell Jr., he beat 3 fodder from the Galactic Prison, and in possibly one of the most embarrassing displays in the entire series. Despite he, Tien, and Chaozu having this literal rando outnumbered 3-1, they still needed Goku to step in and rescue their bum asses. That's 9 wins, 7 losses, 2 no conclusions, and 1 draw. All in all, that's not a terrible record. So with all that, why does Yamcha still get dunked on so much? Well, let's just say that Yamcha makes it hard to give him grace. Throughout the entire series, he's always just super braggadocious anytime he goes into a fight. He's kinda like Vegeta in that regard, only while Vegeta went through an entire character arc of realizing he's not as tough as he thinks, Yamcha just never learns. He goes into his fight against Jackie Chun cocky, and then Jackie Chun mops the floor with him. He goes into his fight against Ten Shinhan cocky, and then Tien mops the floor with him. And he goes into his fight against Kami cocky, and then Kami mops the floor with him. This dude, for the life of him, cannot learn to just shut up and let his fists do the talking. The audience sees this. And while we might be able to root for someone who has the courage to keep trying after so many losses, this fanbase does love Piccolo after all. It's hard to do so when he never gets rid of his biggest weakness. Throughout all of his fights, Yamcha has a bad habit of letting his guard down that he never got over. In the Fortune Teller Baba saga, it's established that it's a bad idea to attack from the air because you can't dodge in midair. Yamcha sees this, and yet he still does it in the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai, which costs him the match. But he doesn't learn to not let his guard down, because he does it again in the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, gloating before confirming the enemy was down, which costs him the match. And after getting fooled twice, he makes the worst mistake any warrior can make by turning his back to the enemy against the Cybermen, which costs him his life. I know there's that whole Renji the Stoppable meme that the Bleach community loves, but at least Renji gives it his all in his fights, whereas Yamcha's losses boil down to amateur mistakes that any seasoned martial artist would have known to avoid. Let's just take a deep breath and step back for a minute. All in all, being dog water in the ring isn't the end-all be-all for shonen characters. As long as they have a nice personality, fans will probably still root for them. And in fairness, Yamcha is a pretty nice guy. He tries to help Chi-Chi when he sees that Chi-Chi is in danger. And his fear of women doesn't kick in around her because he doesn't view Chi-Chi as a potential romantic partner. And despite losing all of his fights that mattered, Yamcha still had the discipline to train as diligently as everyone else. In a way, he's also the only human playing without cheat codes. Tien and Chaozu had genetics that give them an unfair advantage, and Krillin got his potential unlocked, which gave him a huge unearned power boost. Yamcha is the only one going on pure muscle. I think you could make the case that Yamcha deserves the title of strongest human, given that the others have extenuating circumstances. What do you think? Should Yamcha be considered the strongest human? With all this in mind, you'd think it'd be a disservice to Yamcha that he doesn't have as big of a fanbase as Krillin. But when you stop to think about it, there's a bunch of little things that the story does that subtly turns people off of Yamcha. It's hard to explain, but it's kind of a death by 1,000 cuts situation. You see, our main character was super hyped for the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai, ready to see if his training paid off. Whereas, as soon as Yamcha gets a glimpse of Goku, he basically gives up the ghost and admits he's not going to be the one to take home the championship. Just zero self-confidence whatsoever. In the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai, despite all the work that Yamcha put into preparing, he's the subject of a ball joke. Yeah, real original there. He didn't even make it to the boss chambers in the Saiyan saga, getting taken out by dungeon trash in the beginning. When he locates Jiro in Android 19, instead of flaring up his key so the gang could detect it, Yamcha just decides to yell for some reason as if they could hear him for miles away, and this little slip-up almost gets him killed again. And at the end of the Cell Saga, when the gang isn't sure what to do with Porunga's last wish, Yamcha wants to waste it on a necklace for his girlfriend, which he could just buy with money, instead of wasting a nearly all-powerful dragon wish on it. So on top of being arrogant and trash at fighting, we can also add kinda dumb to the list of reasons to dislike Yamcha. Are you starting to see my point yet? There's also the small factor of how the supporting cast is treated in Dragon Ball in general. Everyone and their mother has gone on ad nauseum about how Toriyama mistreated the supporting cast, so I'm not gonna reopen old wounds. But even after they all became summer ants compared to the alien characters, the side cast still managed to be useful. Krillin was essential to keeping the Dragon Balls out of enemy hands on Namek. Tien was essential to stalling Cell so that the gang could train in the hyperbolic time chamber. And Piccolo was essential to training Goten and Trunks so that they could stall Majin Buu. Even though the characters couldn't throw hands anymore, they all played a pivotal role in supporting Goku and Vegeta. And if you removed any of them from that role, the whole story would collapse like a house of cards. Everyone except Yamcha, that is. The closest thing Yamcha ever had to this type of supporting role was getting Goku home after the heart virus kicked in. Think about that. The most helpful thing Yamcha did was run away. And even that only happened after he nearly got himself killed, proving he wasn't useful anyway. This display against Jiro was so sad that it actually got him kicked off the team. For years, it was believed that Yamcha rage quit fighting after this because he was sick of getting manhandled. But a bonus panel that Toyotaro drew for the Tournament of Power arc actually shows Yamcha in his baseball uniform saying that he never quit training in case he ever needed to hop into action again. This panel actually canonized Yamcha's baseball career. Neat little trivia fact, I always liked that bit. But the Z-Fighters definitely just made a group chat without Yamcha in it after this incident, because he isn't called to help against Frieza's invasion or Cell Max. If you're a Yamcha fan, then this really has to be salt in the wound, because he was clearly excited to get recruited for the Tournament of Power, and went home to wait for the phone to ring, only for it to never happen. I hope you all see what I mean. None of these aura losses were ever bad enough to ruin his rep on their own, but added together, they sent him into aura bankruptcy. And to make matters worse, poor Yamcha just never got his redemption. I think while writing Dragon Ball Super, Toriyama just viewed everyone except Goku and Vegeta as complete characters. Gohan had a family and became a scholar like he wanted to. Piccolo has cemented his legacy, even if it wasn't in a way he anticipated. Krillin got married, had a kid, and has a career he seems to be enjoying. And Tien has found purpose in running a dojo and being a positive influence on the next generation of martial artists. Everyone found their purpose except for Yamcha. Like I mentioned before, he claimed to have found a girlfriend in the Cell Saga, but we haven't seen her once since. And Super just never gives us enough of a look into his personal life to make a call one way or another. And if you got through all of what I just said, still thinking Yamcha is just some poor cocky kid in over his head because he was never equipped to deal with aliens or god-tier threats, well, you're probably right to be honest. But there's one very big elephant in the room I'd be hard-pressed not to mention when we're talking about Yamcha. Yamcha has absolutely no game whatsoever. It's realistic, given that the character had severe social anxiety until seeing the world in danger put the peril of talking to women into perspective. But that still doesn't excuse being a bad boyfriend. When we reunite with Bulma after every time skip, she's always talking about how she and Yamcha got into a fight off panel that's led to her giving him the silent treatment. And after the King Piccolo saga, Yamcha ghosts her for 3 years without so much as a note telling her where he's going to train. Up and leaving someone you're supposed to be committed to like that is a jerk move. To be fair, Bulma was pretty mean to Yamcha as well. She was still making flirty passes at other men even while dating Yamcha, and she dogs on him after every loss that he suffers, as if getting his teeth knocked down his throat wasn't humiliating enough. But still, Yamcha was still a bum for cheating on her. You'd think after pulling not only the richest girl on the planet, but one smart enough to invent time travel from nothing, after years of being too socially awkward to talk to a woman, that Yamcha would just appreciate what he had. But no, he just had to go and be a cheater. Also, I know that some people try to dispute Yamcha cheating on Bulma by saying that's just a story that future Trunks was told. And of course, since we heard it from Bulma's perspective, her side would be skewed a bit. But I hate to break it to you, that time I got reincarnated as Yamcha, which wasn't written by Toriyama, but is still licensed merch by Shueisha, so I think it qualifies as auxiliary canon, introduces us to a woman who's heavily implied to be who Yamcha cheated on Bulma with. And the voice actor for Yamcha confirmed that in casual chit-chat, Toriyama would refer to Yamcha as a cheater. I guess Furuya was doing research for little real-life method acting. Yikes. I think losing fights you weren't prepared for and being a bit too full of yourself are forgivable as long as you're genuinely well-meaning and still try your hardest. But being a cheater makes it too late for Yamcha to do a character 180 in my eyes. Sorry, but he's a has-been sports player pushing 50 who lives in a small apartment with his cat, and there's no changing that. But what do you all think? Can Yamcha find redemption and get his aura back? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're there, don't forget to drop a like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss an upload. I'm trying to get 1,000 subs by the end of the year, and we're already halfway there, so I'd really appreciate any help I can get. Other than that, I've been Rambles-on. Don't forget to work hard, study well, and eat and sleep plenty. Peace. Calling all Saiyans. Do you want to power up your viewing experience? Now's your chance to raise your power level higher than ever before with our Super Saiyan memberships. For only 99 cents, take your viewing experience from basic to super, with early access to new videos, exclusive streams that can only be viewed with Super Saiyan eyes, and loyalty badges displayed next to your username to show off your Saiyan pride. So what are you waiting for? Buy a Super Saiyan membership today for only 99 cents.